If this were 50 years ago, most people wouldn't be talking about Don Lemon. Because 50 years ago, Don Lemon couldn't be Don Lemon, an openly gay African-American network news anchor. Don, you might know as the host of Newsroom on CNN. He's an outspoken journalist.
If someone who has a mental issue did not have access to guns that should only be available in war zones, we would not be dealing with this.
And early in his career, when he couldn't get his local news station to cover the HIV/AIDS crisis in Africa, well, he flew himself there and reported on it anyway. He covered Hurricane Katrina, the election of Barack Obama, and the death of Michael Jackson.
In death as in life, Michael Jackson draws a massive crowd.
But the story closest to his heart is the one that's closest to ours, the ongoing struggle for equality.
I am incredibly happy that I did it.
It's an issue that hit home for a man born in the once segregated Louisiana at the height of the civil rights movement, and who knows firsthand the unique challenges out there.
Oh, yeah, Don Lemon, everybody! Strombo, you ready for me?
I'm ready. Welcome.
How are you?
Thank you
for having me.
Of course, have a seat.
I know you get the first question, but I have to ask you this.
Yes.
I'm in your hair and makeup room.
Yeah.
What are you, black? What is
I
that?
use merge, man.
This is like black hair
Yeah, I know.
products from the 1970s.
That's what I use, man. Every
Oh, my
time,
gosh.
dude, every time
Look
we
at
have
this
a
stuff.
guest on the show who's black, that's the first thing they pick up on.
I was like, I can use that. Thank you very much.
Dude, my dad's from Egypt, man. I got North African in me. I need that stuff.
So you're a brother. How you doing?
I'm very well.
Thank you for having me on. This is a great show.
No, I'm really excited to talk to you. There's a whole bunch we can get into. But it's true. Yesterday night, I get this Facebook message randomly. I haven't met him before. It's just random. Strombo, are you ready for me?
You're like,
I was like, hell's yes, bring it.
bring it.
You know, we've on the show, in the Red Show, we've had conversations about Black History Month. What's your position on it? How do you feel?
I think we do need it. When I talk about, especially with young people, I'll ask about, you know, I live on Frederick Douglass Boulevard in Harlem. I'll ask about people, and these people, they'll go, who? Mm-hmm. Who are you talking about? Or I'll ask, you know, I'll talk about James Baldwin, or, you know, any number of figures who are black figures who people should know about, and they don't know about it. So I think that until not only the larger culture, not only the larger culture, but also young African Americans know their history,
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a need for Black History Month.
I like what you're saying, the idea of how important it is for especially young people to know their history.
Yes.
This is a legendary person that, you know, I know of him because I'm in this industry, you know of him because you're in this industry, but a newscaster from back in the day that people don't know that much about.
In economic news today, the index of leading indicators, which is supposed to indicate the direction the economy is heading, rose 1.4% in February. That's the 6th month in a row it's gone up.
That's Max. He's a big deal.
Did you hear me, Max Robinson?
Yeah.
I wanted to be that guy when I was a kid. And when I saw people like my local news person, who was Gene West, who you guys don't know, and then Max Robertson. I was Max Robinson. I was like, I want to do that. Amazing figure, amazing.
Well, I mean, I've heard other people talk about it, that, you know, it's incredibly difficult to be openly gay in America, but it's really difficult if you're a black man. Like, you know, if you...
It is. And there's an added burden on being an African American that comes from your own community, and also the larger community, too. You're a double minority in a sense. So, yeah, it's tough.
Do you feel like an outsider?
I am always. I like feeling like an outsider. The moment you feel like you're an insider and you know everybody, that's when you stop really asking the tough questions and you stop, you know, being curious about things.
If you look at your story, though, what you've lived it, and you know, when I've read it, the idea of, like, a big part of your life appears to be you fighting through,
Right.
fighting to get through something,
Right.
fighting. Like, I mean, it would be for anybody. Victim of abuse, you know, breaking barriers in other ways, but fighting. Once you break through, it doesn't automatically mean you wake up the next day and all your fighting skills are gone. You're still that guy.
And that's why I got to where I've gotten. And it's not that you always, you know, want to be in control and pushing, because you can't just have one speed, right? You have to be able sometimes to take your hands off the wheel. Everyone says, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? I was asked this question on a different show.
There are no other shows,
No
Don.
other show.
There's yours, mine, and I've heard of some guy called Anderson, but that's all I know.
But some lady called Oprah. I mean,
I'm not ringing any bells.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. But
Local Chicago,
yeah.
is that what that is?
Yeah,
okay.
and, yeah. Who, Renderson? Who is it?
I don't know what it is.
I'll show you this. So, someone asked me what's my next chapter, and I said, you know, who do you want to interview? And like now, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about how I want to be, who does Don want to be, and not necessarily professionally. Don wants a family.
Yeah.
Don wants to work on the personal aspects of his life. Recently single. Just been able to say that myself. And
why was it hard to say it?
well, it's weird. After 5 years, you're like, oh, I'm single now. And then one day, all of a sudden, you know, of course, you mourn your relationship and what you had. You're respectful. You don't date for a while. You know, you do the whole thing. And then you wake up and you go, I'm free. Woo, I'm free, right? Especially if you come to a realization, well, this wasn't the right person, because all those things you thought you didn't want, like I don't want to be married, and I don't want kids, and then you meet someone else, or in your moment of freedom and empowerment and autonomy, you go, hey, well, you know what, maybe I do want those things, but I didn't want it with that person.
Right.
So you always have to listen to what your spirit is telling you.
You're still a young man, but you're not 22 years old. So for a lot of guys that I know who are out now and they're in their early 40s, there's this moment where they thought, oh my God, I never in a million years thought about a husband or kids.
Never.
Because it wasn't part of my, I couldn't.
That is a great point. I actually liked it when gay people were cool and unique. That was part of the fun of being gay. You didn't have to be married. You didn't have to have kids. It was like, yeah, let those people have that. I say, what's wrong with my people? Why do they want? Why do you want to get married and then go through a divorce and give someone half your money? I like having my own money.
Stick around. I'm always Don Lemon right after this.
All right, coming up, we're going to find out what happened when Don had to fend off Stephen Colbert.
Don, did you or did you not interview a man who had foreclosed on a bank?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
yes.
Did you not notice that he was a vampire? Don, did you or did you not interview a man who had foreclosed on a bank?
The guy in Philadelphia? Yes, I did.
Okay,
yes.
Did you not notice that he was a vampire?
It's not about his lifestyle. It's about a bank. That's not what the story's about.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't realize it was a lifestyle choice. I didn't realize we had to be so sensitive and accepting
Why are you being
of vampires.
so judgmental?
Because you have turned that man into the Jackie Robinson of vampires.
Talking to yourself.
Oh,
Stephen.
That's all I hear.
That is offensive on a whole lot of levels.
Yes, it is, and I do not forgive you.
I think you should get out of here.
Oh, I will get out of here, Don Lemon, but before I go, I want to say this. I truly enjoyed your book, Transparent, a candid memoir that the New York Times calls $24.95.
That's all right, huh?
$24.95. That's hilarious.
That's all right.
That was all right. That was one of. I learn from people like you when I go on other people's shows. I learned so much from that 2 hours or hour and a half or however long I spent with Stephen Colbert than I learned in maybe 10 years in the business. Are you going to embarrass me now?
I don't know. I wouldn't call this embarrassment. I would like to talk about best personality, if I can, for just a second. What's that all about?
Oh, my gosh.
What is that?
I looked anorexic. My goodness, look at the hair and look how skinny I was.
Speaking of the hair, look at this guy.
Where did you get these pictures?
We got ways, man. Look at that.
I don't even remember these. Where was this?
Well, I would like to introduce you to St. Francis Xavier School, King and Queen, 1980.
Oh,
look
my
at this.
gosh. Who are your researchers?
We got good ones, man. We got the best in the business here.
Is that picture up? Is this one up?
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's.
What would you go back and tell that kid?
Not to cry on national Canadian television.
You can.
Let me see that. I would tell this kid. Can I say a cuss word on YouTube?
Yes.
I would tell this kid, don't give a shit about what people have to say about you. Don't worry about what people have to say about you. Live your life. Be bold. It's okay to tell your mom or your parents that someone is abusing you. Mm-hmm. You don't have to wait till you're 30 years old to get all of that junk out of the way. And wherever you are in life, everything else, everyone else will catch up. And back in the 1980s, being gay, African-American kid who was outspoken with big ears and whatever, that wasn't fashionable.
You knew then.
I have known since, in my book I write, I've known that I was gay since I was knee-high to a duck.
Right. And then I wondered, where did you grow up that one would be knee-high to a duck?
In Louisiana. In Louisiana, I should have written pelican, because that's our state bird.
They're all there. Have you ever been, I mean, you're so confident, obviously. Have you ever gotten yourself in trouble because of it?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can be overconfident.
Dude, I'll follow you on Twitter, and you get into it. I love, like, when people pick fights with me, I love getting right back into it.
Yeah.
Between you and Jonah Hill made me laugh.
well, for Jonah Hill, it was kind of it was being funny. At first, I was just saying, you should be gracious always.
Yeah.
And then the response that he had, and you know, I don't have a beef with Jonah Hill at all, but the response I thought was a bit homophobic, and the way he treated me was, and I didn't really talk on Twitter about exactly what happened. But, you know, to each his own. It was funny for me. A lot of people picked it up. But that's who I am. If you say something to me that's snarky, then I may say something snarky back. But there's a big lesson in that. And sometimes it's just leave people in the dark.
Right.
You don't have to respond to every single thing or every single slight or every single incident. And sometimes on Twitter, things can be blown out of proportion.
Sometimes it's fun to get back.
And sometimes it's fun. It's just fun. It is what it is. Thank you, man.
A real pleasure, man.
It was a pleasure. Give me a big pleasure.
Pleasure. Don Lemon, everybody. We'll be right back.